Hello everyone, welcome to Prime Business with me, Pius Kojobaka. Labour economist Professor William Bamboateng has stated that the 10% increase in the minimum wage for public sector workers should serve as a guide for private sector workers to also negotiate for better conditions of service. He argues that the increase in the minimum wage and the base pay is backed by law, hence the need for every employer to comply. He's been speaking to Joy Business.
So I said the national daily minimum wage is determined by the National Tripartite Committee made up of organized labor, employers, association, and government. And it is always anchored on the rate of inflation. So it serves as a guide for salary negotiation when it comes to the private sector as well as the public sector, particularly those on the single spine. The impact depends on where you are coming from. So, for instance, I said it is anchored on inflation. And, of course, since, last year, I think we ended inflation around at 23%. It means that what was given to labor last year was not up to 23%. So they need to be restored. So if we have inflation within the 20 and then have minimum wage increased by 10%, it means that it is an attempt to at least pushing workers against a decline in their purchasing power by inflation. Of course, for workers, I think it's going to push them a bit, but it's also going to increase the wage bill on the part of government so that when the minimum wage goes up like this, it also affects the base pay on the single spine. So the base pay will go up and it will cascade upwards across board. That means that wage bill will also go up, not necessarily by 10%. It could be more, it could be less. So on the part of the private sector, when workers are going to negotiate with their employers based on their conditions of service, this 10% increase also serves as a guide so that at least workers could know that the minimum wage has gone up, and therefore at least get something closer to that. It will also push in us. And this is meant to ensure that workers are able to, float above the minimum inflation so that their purchasing power will not decline so much.
But will employers be able to pay workers despite the current economic conditions? Alex Frimpong is the Chief Executive of the Ghana Employers Association.
Well, the Ghana Employers Association has been representing employers of Ghana in the discussion with government and labor regarding national daily minimum wage in accordance with the labor law. So we actively participate in such negotiations on behalf of Ghana. We are all living witnesses to the difficulties that are facing businesses as well as employees in Ghana and our overall landlord, which is government. So after going through some 3 weeks of very difficult negotiations, we arrived at the figures that are before all of us. It has not been easy. We needed to consider the current economic challenges facing all of us, cost of living, and most importantly, how we can sustain businesses. Because at the end of the day, if businesses are not sustainable, I'm not sure all of them will survive to pay whatever wages that we have currently, let alone any increase that we anticipate.
Away from that, the Bank of Ghana has justified the timing for auditing remittance activities for the last quarter of 2024. It follows concerns that the actions is just targeted at some personalities and institutions. George Yafe tells us more.
The assurance from the Bank of Ghana follows rumors that the action is targeted at some politically exposed persons that have moved funds in and out of the country before and after the December general elections. There are also speculations that the action was also to expose firms that might have relaxed their rules to aid these transactions. But the Bank of Ghana is denying all these rumors, insisting this should be seen as a normal exercise, which is done every quarter of the year. The central bank has also told Joy Business that it made the announcement because it wanted greater participation and cooperation from all market players. The Bank of Ghana also insists it wants to bring some transparency since the need to publish their action that they are undertaking. Ghana last year got more than $6 billion in remittance. However, there have been concerns about whether there has been some underreporting, hence the need for this review. But the central bank again is insisting that that is not the focus of this audit.
Now, presidential advisor on the economy, Seth Tekpe, says government will bring back the Ghana Integrated Tax Management and Information System to ensure compliance. Speaking at the Ghana's Economic Outlook organized by the Ghanaian-German Economic Association in Accra, Mr. Tekpe emphasized the need for tax rationalization to enhance efficiency.
I think that if we rationalize the tax regime, if we have difficulties, we introduce two taxes anytime we did austerity: National Fiscal Stabilization Levy or Fiscal Stabilization Levy, right? And then we had the temporary import duty. And anytime we went out of an austerity program with the fund, we removed them. So they were keeping them. Was the reason for most of the levies that we are keeping. So this summarizes the rationalization that we have to do to the fiscal regime. And until you do that rationalization and raise enough revenue, right, to contain your expenditures, you are going to borrow. And if you borrow and you do not have a mechanism for repayment, you are going to default. This is the challenge, facing our country. And my topic is on the private sector. So a fiscal regime, in essence, what I'm saying is that however you look at it, if you distort any of these taxes, if you overspend and you have fiscal deficits and whatever, as they say, the economists, you crowd out private sector. Interest rates go up, inflation goes up, deficit financing results in all those things. And it makes life simply difficult, for the private sector. So I'm not excusing private sector, which needs to be competitive, which needs to do things, better also. But I'm also saying that we should not make the work of the private sector worse by making a fiscal regime and consequently the monetary regime, worse. And so for us to get out of the hole, we must begin to tackle the things that sent us into the hole in the first place. And it's a task which, incidentally, for me, as I always say, ERP sub-boy, we're just going to be repeating things that we did in the 80s and 90s. Rationalize the tax regime, to make the four taxes, strengthen them, tax administration, to say that we stopped implementing an integrated domestic tax system, automated, when we had successfully done to agree the ICOMS, which was West Blue, GIFMIS, thanks to Germany, the World Bank, DFID, and others. They were the ones who financed USAID, much of what we should not have stopped many of these reforms. So what we have to do is to bring them back. The real sector is also suffering. Energy was mentioned already. Arrears to contractors with the energy sector. Even the services sector is labeling, suffering under the multiple number of taxes, importers and whatever. So this is the reason I'm saying that the roots of the problems lie in the fiscal management and fiscal and monetary management, of the economy.
Global direct selling e-commerce company QNET has announced its preparedness to leverage government's 24-hour economy policy to expand its business in Ghana. Speaking at a press conference in Accra, the Global Chief Marketing Officer of QNET, Trevor Kuna, pledged to take advantage of the policy to train more Ghanaians to create jobs.
The thing you need to understand about direct selling is that it provides benefit to the economy. because you're generating productivity. People are doing business, and I believe that Ghana is now focusing on the 24-hour economy. That's the new tagline. So direct selling is part of that 24-hour economy. We don't have a shop that operates between certain hours. It's 24/7. People are buying our products 24/7 online from our website. So they can learn everything possible from our product trainers, which is why we actually flew in Bernie all the way from Asia, but we have Charles, our incredible product knowledge expert here in Ghana, who travels a lot.
KPMG Ghana has appointed Andrew Akoto as the new country managing partner. With an impressive 30 years of experience at KPMG, Mr. Akoto brings expertise and leadership that will significantly contribute to the firm's growth in Ghana and across Africa. Before his election, Mr. Akoto served as the partner and head of advisory in Ghana, where he played a key role in overseeing the firm's risk and management consulting practices. Throughout his distinguished career, he has delivered strategic solutions for clients in diverse sectors, including energy, mining, telecommunications, financial services, manufacturing, government, and donor-funded agencies. He has also held numerous leadership positions at the regional level with the firm. Mr. Akoto's leadership has been characterized by his commitment to mentoring and guiding teams across the firm, upholding the highest standards in service delivery, particularly in governance, risk management, management audits, accounting advisory, forensics, and technology advisory. And to some other stories, President of the Oil Palm Development Association of Ghana, Samuel Avala, says the oil palm industry seriously needs government's intervention to enhance the efficiency of small-scale producers. Speaking earlier on the marketplace, he noted that production could be doubled with the right intervention and provision of equipment to boost small-scale production to reduce reliance on imports.
We have a deficit, so yes, we need oil to come and add to what we have in the meantime. But it should not come on under ETLS, waiving off duty and appearing to be cheaper. That is what the external factor looks like. But internally, we have a huge chunk of our production coming from the outgrowers, smallholders. They lack efficiency, so their yields are around 6 tons of fruit bunches per hectare, but they can easily get to 12 tons, doubling that production. The artisanal millers who use substandard machines are having oil extraction rates in the neighborhood of 12% to bunch. This can also go to be very modest, 16%. That 16% oil extraction, and that's about 30% increase in oil. And that alone will increase their oil production from the current 80,000 tons per annum by another 27 to 30,000. And if the about 100,000 hectares of the smallholder plantations that need to be replanted are also replanted, we will move from the 6 tons per hectare to 12 tons per hectare, which is double. And that alone will give us probably another 200,000 tons of palm oil. With these two major interventions, we will be self-sufficient. And a further 100,000 to be developed will make us a net importer with about another 100,000 tons of palm oil that we can export into the Africa Continental Free Trade Area opportunities.
Local maize farmers in the Afram Plains of the eastern region are struggling to prepare for the upcoming planting season due to poor sales from the previous harvest. My colleague Jesse Magbapo engaged some workers or farmers who are lamenting the prolonged negative impact of last year's dry spell.
In 8 regions affected by the dry spell last year incurred losses of approximately 3.5 billion Ghana cedis in investment, as was revealed by the then Minister of Food and Agriculture, Brian Echampong. The struggle, however, appears to have gone beyond the quantity of produce the farmers have gathered after a difficult farming season. Maize farmers are facing a new crisis as they struggle to sell their produce due to an influx of cheaper imported maize. Despite high production costs and no government subsidies, local farmers now find themselves with warehouses full of unsold maize, while buyers tend to imports. Ben Kofiado is one of such farmers in Afram Plains.
Planting season, challenge I face is beginning of the season. In Sutono, anko ye. After saying in Sutono anko ye no, ne will see the bill honoma a drought resistant. Something like
beginning of the season, the rains did not fall, but we have a drought-resistant seed called Pioneer and other seeds. That drought-resistant seed is better to plant when there is a drought, but we did not have access to that seed because it was scarce and we could not find it to purchase. When the seed was eventually available, it was too late to plant it. This really affected us. From August last year, the price of maize was going up, so people began importing some because poultry farmers were struggling. Importing the maize at the time was necessary because we did not have enough in the system at the time. However, the price of the imported maize is cheaper than how much we are selling ours. We don't understand, and it's affecting us. The cost of producing maize last year was really high, and we did not have any subsidies from the government. At the moment, the small maize we are able to acquire from our farms are not being bought.
Because I don't know find a free crowd from there, say be from Brazil or Italy or whatever. I then a Bruno be free how be drew Ghana. Na Bruno be for chain yet na yeton. Yet and so and yama I told the year Juman so ne boy din. Yan said and subsidized bia and fine year Juma. Mijina who is subsidized one bag cramania. So and my todd the boarding and I made year Juma. But see a ne yameno case a brewer goo in where the second crabby farmers in the bay and talk and I can good aswa. Be breed the Macrama Brug them.
Of the Joy food chain is on Saturday at 6 p.m. here on the channel. Do make a date. You're still watching Prime Business. We have more for you after this break.
We introduced Season 1. You loved it. Followed with Season 2, which wowed you.
1997, a magazine came out. They described me as beautiful enough for the set, but not intelligent enough for the show.
Now, hold on to your seats. We're coming with a brand new, non-stop dose of the most epic entrepreneurship program ever. The Career Trail is back, and this time, we're cranking it up with no breaks. Get ready as we release new sets of amazing entrepreneurs. Ask the hard questions.
I remember when my results came, they gave me a D in math, and I was like, no, I'm better than a D in math.
They gave you or you had a D.
Unveil the good sides.
I was promoted from constable to chief inspector.
Discover the bad sides.
All I know is that I want to start shawarma. Then from nowhere, I lose my home.
Learn new lessons and enjoy the fun moments with these incredible personalities.
Okay, so 60 seconds. 10 things that happened. Chelsea.
And oh, guess what? You at home get to co-host by asking your favorite entrepreneur any burning question. What do you want to know?
How do you juggle MCing with journalism?
Here's your chance to get answers straight from the source. Now, to the big question. Who is your chauffeur on this unforgettable journey? Of course, your young and vibrant host, Irene Dubia Aining, will be at the wheel, driving you towards your dream entrepreneurial destination. The new edition of the Career Trail premieres Saturday, 22nd February 2025 at 4 p.m. on Joy Learning and 6:30 p.m. on Joy News. The Career Trail, your success journey begins here.
Welcome back to Prime Business. As part of measures to enhance spatial planning and sustainable land management in Ghana, GIC Ghana has partnered the Land Use and Spatial Planning Authority to ensure data accuracy in land management system. Here's more in this report.
The purpose of the Loop Maize is to provide a comprehensive platform that integrates spatial and textual data, thereby improving the efficiency and effectiveness of land use, planning, and management in Ghana.
For us, it's a very key project in the planning system. It's important to have spatial data for urban development and also for developing and managing the land in Ghana. And so we see this as a very crucial element in order to improve land management and land use planning. So our support is to co-finance the contract of the GOPA, the consultant that will redevelop the system. We are also supporting LUSPA in the preparation of some land use plans with our partner MMDAs, and we also work with LUSPA on the review of the zoning and planning guidelines and the manuals regarding the preparation of the plans.
Deputy Chief Executive Officer of LUSPA, Chapman Owusu-Sechere, stressed the need to meet present needs and demands, set realistic and forward-looking standards, and foster outcomes that will drive sustainable development for cities.
You see, some of us, when we were recruited into the town and country planning department, at that time everything was manual. You know, it's our responsibility to prepare spatial plans to guide the orderly development of our communities. But at that time, we used to do everything with manual system, spatial plans. But with modern trends, you know, things are changing now with the coming into being of computer. We cannot continue to go to the drawing board with our T-squares to be drawing our communities. So we need a system that will allow us to use computer.
The meeting is a collaboration between the Participation, Accountability and Integrity for a Resilient Democracy program commissioned by the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development and co-financed by the European Union and the Swiss State Secretariat for Economic Affairs.
Stakeholders in the fintech space are predicting Ghana's payment ecosystem to continue to attract more players due to the expansion of technology in the country. The latest to enter the market is global fintech company Payaza after securing a license from the Bank of Ghana. There is more in this report.
For many businesses, there's the need to simplify payment systems across the continent to enhance intra-African trade. Thus, stakeholders say it's required to reduce the cost of production for businesses, particularly small and medium enterprises, which make up more than 90% of businesses in Ghana. Speaking to the media after the SME 5 Ghana program organized by Payaza, Group CEO Sheyi Ebenezer outlined the unique services the platform will provide to support SMEs in Ghana.
Ghana is an interesting market for us. Looking at what our recent 5-year roadmap is, which we are essentially focusing on B2B SME. We see that within African space, SME is the bedrock of the whole African market, constituted from the Eastern Africa to the Central Africa. 50% of the working population is SME. Now narrowing down to Ghana, Ghana a total population of about 34 million people, constitute about 70% of this market is SME. So what we then came here to do is just to empower the SME space through our payment solutions, through all of the offerings that we have across our own product rail. So we're essentially here to support SME businesses and empower them through payment, exposing them to the world at large.
The event brought together industry leaders, financial institutions, and key stakeholders to drive collaboration and innovation within Ghana's SME ecosystem. Sheyi Ebenezer touched on some features designed by the company to connect SMEs in Ghana to global businesses.
We create a website for you. You're able to list all of your product there. We plug in the payments gateway for you so that you'll be able to have access. So same way you are selling on Instagram, you can sell on your web as well. So this will come to you at almost zero cost. This will come to you at an affordable rate, so which we are not charging. We build a website for you. We build the opportunity for you to put out your product out there, and then whereby it gives you an interesting way to forge your process and your businesses.
And that's it for Prime Business for tonight. I am Pius Kojo Baka. We have more for you when you log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Razak is next with Prime Sports.